hot pants.
Já znám poměrně.
Good evening. I've met a lot of poets because I'm working on an edition of poetry. The Toast Publishing House has published about 65 books of poetry, and indeed, Sylva Fischerova is one of the most educated poets. Not only does she write poetry, but she is very educated. She knows classic languages. She teaches at the School of Arts and Humanities at Charles University. She is involved in Greek literature as well. And my question is, how does your background influence you when you're writing your poetry, all the things you read from the classics? Because in this country, it seems to be the melic type that prevails. It's more the sound of poetry rather than the education of poetry, something that people give preference to in reading poetry, whereas in Anglo-American poetry, the situation is different. The tradition is more based on background knowledge, etc. What does the classics give you, or how does it prevent you from writing? Thank you. Well, every day from morning to evening, I always keep saying to myself how many books I have not yet read. But to answer your question, the question has two parts. What you said about the Czech tradition, Czech musical tradition, it makes me look back on my studies. When I traveled between Prague and the town of Olomouc, I remembered reading one of the newsletters devoted to young literature, and there was an article referring to the Czech bel canto. So in this country we have our own bel canto. That's what makes Czech poetry move forward. And at that time I got really upset when sitting on that train from Prague to Olomouc, because I believe there are other traditions in this country. When we look at Czech poetry, we have poets like Holland, Diviš, Richard Weiner. All of them have been perfectly educated. So we have the bel canto tradition in poetry, but we also have other traditions, yet we may not be so used to them. We may not be used to admiring them.
Tak báseň, kterou navážu, je velmi...
The next poem is a very old one, but for some reason it is always successful. And recently I found out that it was even published in a lifestyle magazine for women. So probably it can have some practical impact, some practical use. Hell, the soul, banners. So today, love's just infidelity. So, all of us who thought we can do what we want, we needn't, we can't just want. We can want what we want. All of us will meet in hell under extremely gruesome punishments, in the midst of alien children and find your own, in the midst of alien women and find yourself, in the midst of fathers and mothers and all of them yours, amid gods and grain and sperm, within the soul and free will, where there's nothing, just winds fluttering like banners.
Hot pants. Hey, hot pants. Look, hot pants. Smoking that hot pants.